Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the third week in a row of the Suffolk Non-League Show. I am James. He is Adam. We are live across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing amazingly well. Adam, third week in. How you feeling, mate? You doing all right?
Oh, it's good. We've actually been to some competitive football. I'm loving it. It's like we've never been away.
Yes, it has. Have you recovered? Have you recovered from Tuesday's game? I haven't.
Tuesday's game was something else. Like as the first one to go to, winning against Wanderers. I mean, I don't think we could have begged for anything better than what that was. But I mean, looking around at the other results that night, it seems like there was some absolutely stonking games like that people had. So I don't think we were the only ones that got to witness a real good one, but what a first match day experience to capture, to relaunch the season after everything that's happened. And I think you said it's been about 10 months, wasn't it, since your last match day experience?
Yeah, it was nearly bringing up to 11 months. Yeah, mental. Absolutely mental.
Kick off in the right way. I think we both just had a really good time, to be honest.
It was just good to just get back to some sort of normality. Do you know what I mean? Just to watch 22 blokes kick a ball around. It was just a pleasure to be there, really. Just the game itself served up to be something spectacular. So, we really, really can't complain from that. But we've already got you guys absolutely flying into the comments. We saw them all before we even pressed live. You guys were already on it. So let's welcome some people, Adam. NMFC Jensen, hi DeeJam, how are you, mate? I am doing absolutely superbly well. It is a Monday night. I'm with my best mate. I've got myself a coffee. I am ready and I am raring to go. We are up for this. Can't wait for this. Agree with that one. We've got Alex in the chat. Alex, thank you very much. Welcome again, mate. Thanks for joining us. Dean Cooper, happy birthday, mate. Happy birthday at the grand old age of 21. So I've been told.
We're not going to be singing, but happy birthday.
We won't sing, but happy birthday. I hope you're having a lovely day, and thank you for spending your birthday with us. That's quite a nice treat, isn't it, Adam? For us, anyway. Jamie,
I wasn't expecting him to be on it, knowing it was his birthday. So.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting it either, but here he is. So, Jamie, evening, the Leiston Bennell Derby looked a good game. It was a very good game. After this, if you haven't checked it out, click my channel and watch the match day experience and the interviews afterwards. It was a very, very good game. We got Connor Ellis in the house. Thank you very much, Connor, once again for joining us. DeeJam Army. I like that. Get that going in the chat. DeeJam Army. I'll be well happy with that. So we've got who else we've got? So we've got Mark Watts. Evening, guys. Have a good one. Evening, mate. Hope you are doing well. Chris White, legend, friend of the channel. Good to see you back up and running, doing your ground hopping videos. Again, if you guys haven't checked Chris out, go and have a look for his stuff. Chris, I'm sure you'll put your YouTube username into the chat so people can go and have a look at some of the stuff he does. A great advocate for non-league football. We've got Alex, evening, mate. Hope you're doing well. Ben Moore, hi lads. Some interesting results. Yeah, midweek and this weekend, especially from the SIL, there was some absolutely mental results in the SIL. Reading some of those to the Bennell lads after the game, they couldn't quite believe some of the results that we had. We'll go through that in a bit of detail in just a moment. Dan Barnard, good evening, boys. Yes, how you doing, Dan? I hope you are well. Corley, evening. Hope you were doing well, mate. Dan Hiscock, evening all. Dean Cooper, cheers. Happy birthday once again. Sean Watson, evening, guys. Bournevale Reserves. You guys are absolutely smashing this evening. Sam, my brother, hope you're doing well. Sorry, I'm not wearing your top tonight, mate. It's a bit too stuffy in this room to be wearing that top. It's a bit skin tight, and I'm piling on the pounds as we speak, so I can't wear that this evening. And we've got Michael Craven, evening. Boys, hope you are all doing amazingly well. So, let's get the housekeeping out of the way.
That's the start, isn't it?
That's a hell of a start. You guys have absolutely smashed it already. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way, and then we will jump straight into the comments. We had an amazing reaction week 2, didn't we, Adam? I think more or less the same sort of viewership that we had week 1, if I'm right.
Slightly higher on the night. and then evened out to about being the same long term.
There you go. So I reckon there's about 1,500, 1,600 we kind of worked it out to be for each Monday night, which is amazing. The match day experience from the midweek, which was the Witten versus Ipswich Wanderers game, got 1,200 views and is going up every single day, which is just mad. And the SIL video, which has gone out recently, has had over 1,000 views on all 3 videos. Across all 3 videos, which is just incredible. So it's good to see the channel is starting to kick off, and I really, really thank you guys so much for that. The reaction has been amazing. If you are watching this on Facebook or Twitter, if you could give the Twitter feed a retweet, that would be massively appreciated, just so we can try and spread this podcast out and this chat out to as many different people. If you've got if you're involved in a team and you have got people who are involved in a WhatsApp chat, put the link in there. Let's get a conversation going with as many different groups as we possibly can. I want as many different teams on this show as we can possibly get. As I said, Facebook, share it out. Let's get it spread out. And YouTube, if you've got the link on there, send it out there. That would be massively appreciated. And one more piece of admin, Adam, before we do crack on with tonight, because I know I am rambling and I'm not even giving you a chance to talk at the moment. I just want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you who have continued to support the channel. Patreon is up. Ko-fi donations is up. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, and I think I speak on behalf of Adam as well, I cannot thank you guys enough. It has just been unbelievable. For those of you who don't know what this is, Patreon is a monthly optional service that you can put a set amount every single month aside to your content creator, which is myself and Adam. And Ko-fi is one-off donations where for the price of a coffee or whatever amount you decide to choose, you can donate that amount towards the channel. So the running cost of this live show, because the platform that we use is not free, all those kind of stuff like that. If you want to get involved, links for both of those are in the description of all of these videos. And if you want the link as well, if you're on Twitter, just DM me and I will send that to you after the show. So, Adam, housekeeping out of the way, where do we want to start? Do we want to start through some of our talking points, or do we want to go straight into the results? I think we go to the talking points and then we go through the results. I think. Yeah,
we've got a couple of bits to chat over. Let's knock them on the head. Get everyone involved and then pile through the results, because there's some exciting stuff in the results as well. Definitely. And if you guys want to come on the show, as well as getting in the comments, obviously we love your comments flying in. But if you want to be a guest on the show, there are 2 ways in which you can do that. You can either request for a video link, so you can appear on the screen like myself and Adam, or you can just go on as an audio option. So if you were phoning up a radio show, and we can just hear your voice only. So if you want to come on the show and give your 2 cents, or you've got a question for us at the end, just put link in the comments and I'll send you the link and we'll see if we can get you on. Because as I said, we want as many of you to get involved in this show as possible. Adam, first talking point I want to go through is the changing rooms. Any updates on that? I have seen an update from it. We didn't get one direct, did we? But there was an announcement made out loud. Yeah, so someone actually tweeted in the reply, because I put out last night that I hadn't had anything directly back to me, but there was a blog post created by the SIL, which I read it really carefully. It left it basically open to interpretation by teams, I think, as to whether or not they use their changing rooms, just due to some of the language used. I believe you've got a slide that actually goes through it. It'll be interesting to see people in the chat how they actually read it, because to me, it is try not to use them, but don't get dressed in a car park either. So if you have to, do it.
So this is the sort of media statement that was put out on the SIL website. It was basically an open letter between SIL and sort of like Suffolk FA, I believe. But what it says on there is, I can't comment on what other leagues outside of Suffolk may or may not be advising members clubs, but I have been in contact with my colleagues in Essex, Cambridgeshire and Norfolk FAs. They've confirmed they will continue to advise the NLS regional feeder leagues and grassroots teams to follow the FA grassroots guidance. which in turn advises government guidelines to be followed regarding change room facilities. It goes on to say that changing rooms are an area of increased risk of transmission. It is important that social distance is maintained in changing rooms and showers, and that they are only used if essential. So again, that is very, very open. There's no you can use it. There's no you can't use it. Just be careful when you are using it, which I don't know about you, but that is very much in line with what we've had throughout this whole crisis of no set definitive answer on what you are meant to be doing. It is very, very open, this particular statement. So it goes on to say that all venues should encourage attendees to arrive at the facility in a sports kit and, where possible, to travel home to change and shower. Use of the changing rooms and showering facilities should in general be avoided where possible, although this must be available for participants with disabilities or special needs and are likely to be needed after swimming. If changing rooms are to be used, users should use the facilities as quickly as possible. And it goes on beyond that. I mean, comments, what do you make of that? I'm not entirely sure what I think, really. That just, it's incredibly open. It's incredibly vague.
Go on. My immediate thought was, do you know what? No one's really going to be that cross with you if you use them. Like, don't dilly-dally around in them. Like, if you need to use the change rooms, you use them in a sensible way.
Yeah.
As a team, you could probably not file the whole team into them at once. And I think if you use some precaution, and you're not like, I mean, people don't exactly play games in the showers, do they? Do you know what I mean? You shower as quickly as possible. Like, I should imagine no one's really trying to handle it. Yeah, no, there's lots of jokes that you can set up from that, but like, really, that's all people would be doing anyway. Well, so I think just with a bit of precaution, I don't think
you were at the game on Saturday. The Stowmarket one.
Yeah.
Do you know if the away team used their changing room? Because the game I was at, Leyton St Margaret's versus Benall St Mary, the Benall lads were changing outside. They were on the opposite side of the pitch, changing next to their dugout. So
no, I mean, at Stowe, the away team can use the changing room. What are you going to be doing? Yeah, like at Stowe, the away team can use the dugout, can use the change room, and they're not getting changed outside and stuff.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know, there will be plenty of people in the chat who are involved in football clubs and, will have the knowledge, etc. That myself and Adam won't. Connor has said from the Stowmarket game, I believe the away team were allowed to use a changing room on Saturday at the Stowmarket game. So there is that. Vinny Ford, the fuss over change rooms is getting ridiculous. They are not essential. This is amateur football. Just get changed outside. What's the issue? Well, for Vinny, for a lot of people, that this is a big cause for concern. This is something that people are not comfortable with, changing in the car park. If that is, I know what people say that in that they want you to come to the games in your kit, but the whole point is that at a certain level of football, you don't know if someone's going to turn up or not. I mean, hopefully you will have a committed squad, but that is not always the case. What do you think, Adam?
Well, I know it's amateur football, but I think change rooms are actually a really important part of it, personally. Like, I think having that space to get yourself ready and everything. Someone last week pointed out the safeguarding aspect, and I think to me that was the big. Like, I hadn't even thought of it. Like, no, if you're getting changed in the car park, there's kids that are walking past. All of a sudden, that does really change things.
Well, as I said,
in terms
from Saturday where they were changing on the other side of the pitch. I mean, I didn't particularly feel uncomfortable, but you
didn't put it in your match day experience either, though, did you, James?
Well, no, it's not something I particularly wanted to vlog and talk about, but it's something I wanted to bring up here because, the home team had their area, the referee and and his fourth officials, etc., had their area. but the away team were changing outside. Now, that's absolutely fine when it was absolutely glorious weather that it was this weekend. But how much longer are we going to have to go down this route where, you know, as soon as it starts to get a bit cold, the rain starts coming, do you really want to be getting changed outside? I don't know. We got Ryan Owens who says, sorry, Vinny, completely disagree with you on that one. Dan Hiscock, when you're on a public playing field, getting changed outside is a big issue. Taylor West, I think Vinny's been inconsiderate. Some people are body conscious. Yeah, very good. It is a good point. I don't, about the body conscious bit, I don't really think Vinny's being inconsiderate. I think he's probably seen this comment and this, and this talking point so much that for him, it's probably not a talking point, which is probably why Vinny is saying, saying on that, on this particular thing. We've got Dean Cooper who says, for me, it's not so much a change room, it's the atmosphere it brings, and it's also private, away from public eyes. I mean, yeah, if you want to give your lads a bit of a telling off at halftime, you don't particularly want to do that out in the open. We all saw what happened with Phil Brown a few years back, and that wasn't particularly pleasant. So it might not be something you want to. It might not be something you wanted to do. I don't know.
To be honest, James, I was going to say, I think that note that you've just read out basically allows you to get changed in the space, but I don't think like team talks and stuff would be inside the scope.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like the whole being in there for as little time as possible due to increased transmission risk. I think like if you were only getting changed in there, I don't think there'd be a problem. But if you're doing your team talks and being in there for longer, I think that's when there could be issues.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's certainly got the chat going. Daniel Barnard, I hear there are a lot of females attending games now. There are. Interesting thought on that one. Chris White, the halftime huddles on the pitch at half term are actually nicely speeding up proceedings. I would say yes. However, the game I went to, the referee and his fourth officials still went inside. So the lads were done, I think between about 5 to 10 minutes, the lads were done with their team talks, and they were just literally kicking the ball amongst themselves for about 5 minutes, still waiting for the officials to come out. So as long as the refs and the officials are prepared to speed it up and to go along, then yeah, it could potentially speed the game up. But we were still sat there waiting for a long period of, for the standard period of time for the fourth officials to come out. But maybe you've had a different experience of it, Chris, than what I have. I mean, what did you see on Saturday, Adam?
Well, it's probably the ref probably wishes he stayed on the pitch. The absolute torrent of abuse that he got as he walked into the changing rooms at half time. Like, I've never seen anything like it at a non-league level.
Really?
So, but I think the thing that bothers me with the officials going in is officials' dressing rooms are really small.
Yeah.
So where's the logic? They're notoriously small.
Maybe that is something that's
one rule for one and one for another.
But I mean, Irvin's he's a referee, so maybe he can answer this question. How many players actually have a shower after a game? Not many. Getting changed outside is really not an issue. But in terms of the smallness, that could be something that maybe he's able to answer. OG Sanch, I get our lads to come in shorts to the game, so they just have to change the top. Body conscious guys just sort of turn away. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. I think from what I saw, the lads for Benall did turn up in their shorts and socks and then had to change into their tops as well. So maybe that is something that a lot of teams are now starting to incorporate. Maybe, I don't know, you have your set guys who are always going to be there and turn up. And maybe there are deliveries or maybe stuff, of kit, or maybe that's decided at training. I don't know. It's definitely something that again, you guys in the chat will know more about than myself and Adam, who are actually involved in the game, would know a lot more on this particular issue. And we've had Conor Ellis who simply says, "Don't talk about the ref, Adam." I'm guessing, obviously, that's in relation to.
It's safest. It's safest that I don't.
Yeah, so definitely. But
I think one of the other things I'd say about this is that, as soon as the pitches aren't quite as green as what they are now, people are going to want to shower.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it starts getting all muddy and everything, no one's going to want to go home driving in their car absolutely caked in mud.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Very good point. We've got Will Frost, who says clubs can't afford to be giving out kit for people to keep, as it would get lost. Again, very valid point. Well, it's something you don't really think about. Urban just simply says, I'm happy getting changed outside. Like you say, people can arrive kitted up, including the officials. Taylor West says, we got changed outside and I was fat shamed by a supporter, putting me off my game totally. Wow, that's horrible. That's horrible to hear. That's disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. We've got Dan Snell, who says, I did warn you the referees may not be as good this season as they have been. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, cheers for that, Dan. I believe every word now.
Vinny follows this up by saying, Taylor plays for my team. He is lying. There you go. I don't know if he is or not. And they won't, Dan Hiscock, and they won't stay and put any money behind the club bars when covered in mud either, Adam. Very, very good point. Very good point. It's a side thing that you don't really think about when it comes to this sort of issue. It's then what happens after the game, isn't it? Because especially at a lot of clubs, what happens afterwards in the bar is a massive, massive, it's a massive bone of contention, isn't it? Because it's an income source that you're going to be losing out on there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We've got Luke.
Agree.
Luke Riley said, joined late. I have several 16-year-olds. What happens with them? Safeguard them. This is exactly what we've been talking about. This is exactly can't have 16-year-olds getting changed outside. This is a thing. I don't know what the answer is for that, and I don't really think that has been given too much thought. If I'm being honest, I don't know. I could be completely wrong and wide of the mark there, but I don't know. I really, really don't know. Interesting. Let's move.
I think the further we go into this, like the worse it gets. Like the more things you uncover. Like, and I suppose what the league would say is that the 16-year-olds are the exception where you should always be using the changing room. But I don't know.
So Vinny follows it up by saying safeguarding is honestly not an issue. It's no different from going to the swimming pool or a beach. People will have to respond to that in the chat. Portman Rovers FC, could a couple of windbreakers be used as a changing pod? Who knows? There's plenty of options out there. I know a lot of clubs are doing, they've got different ways of being able to handle this. Some have kind of like got outside tents and stuff like that. Don't know. Interesting. A couple of follow-up points, and then we will move on to our next topic. Do we think FA are banking on a second lockdown? I think the whole country is kind of gearing up for a second lockdown, if I'm being honest, not just football. Whether or not it's on a regional level or whether or not it's at a national thing like it was at the beginning, but I think the whole country is kind of gearing itself up towards it. Whether or not it's justified, I don't know. I'm not a health expert, and I'm not going to get political on this particular platform. But it looks as if the whole country is, to be honest with you, Luke, rather than just that.
Yeah.
And we've had Sam, who's getting involved, saying teams to get changed in the bar ridiculously. You huddle into a bar, but it's not responsible for you to share a changing room. We had that point made last week, didn't we? Where, I don't know, you're allowed to touch each other in terms of on the pitch. You're allowed to be all over each other, going for slide tackles, mark each other at corners. But the moment it comes to a changing room, heaven forbid, you'd be anywhere near each other. But it's an inside space, it's an outside space. There is that argument. I don't know. But let's move on from it, Adam, because we've spent a good 25 minutes talking about that particular topic. So let's move on to the next one. So we have got, this is something that I want you guys to particularly talk to me about, because I've had a few people messaging me about the WGS, the system which you use online to register players from. Now, it's not something that I use personally, because obviously I'm not involved in a particular club, but I will read out one comment that I had on Twitter. I'm not going to put it on the screen because the guy may or may not want their details being shared out online. But I had somebody say that they had to wait. Where was it on here? I had to wait for a grand total of an hour to register. No, sorry. Yesterday I was 630th in the queue and waiting for 30 minutes for my turn, and then the website crashed. I'm now in another 45-minute queue where I don't know whether or not the same thing's going to happen again. I'm not really sure what is happening around that, but it does seem to be causing quite a bit of a stir online, isn't it?
Yeah, it's making player registration, from what I can understand, virtually impossible. And it's causing like technology timeouts. So
right.
I take it's got quite serious implications, because if you can't register a player, they can't play. And I don't know of an alternative system that's available to try and sort that out. I'm sure people can fill me in, but there's a lot of moaning about it online yesterday. And what I noticed, that there was a few people, and they clearly weren't getting a response from somewhere. So what they were doing was literally barraging every single contact that the FA or anyone made, complaining about it. Right. So I don't know if anyone's had an update, but it's people are not enjoying using it at all. I even saw one tweet which congratulated someone who did announce a player not on the player announcement, but on being able to use WGS. That was the congratulations message that they got. So quite funny.
Is this for one particular game, or is this for the whole registering for the whole season? Because I honestly haven't got the first clue about it. I know people are still talking about it in the comments, and I'll get your comments up on screen in a moment. But do you know whether or not this is just as a one-off game, so you're registering that person for that particular match, or is this for the whole? For the entire
understanding is it's squad registration, from what I understand.
Okay, right. So it's quite a big deal then.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be the implications be? Because it's not your fault that the system's not working. So surely it's not. Are you allowed to play that player on the proviso that the system's not working, or is there going to just be a straightforward, no, here's a fine. This is the situation.
Well, me and you saw teams lose points last season for fielding someone that was ineligible.
Yeah.
Teams go out of cups, all sorts. So no one's going to risk that this season. Not with everything that's gone on.
Yeah.
So they've set their bar in the past as to how they'll punish people. So
So I suppose really it kind of sets a bit of a precedent. Let's read out some of your comments around it. So Dan Snell says the whole game system was excellent when it first came out, but it's infuriating how many times the system is down. This will cause clubs to get fined and potentially field ineligible players. So that kind of answers my question, that this is going to have massive implications further on down the line.
Yeah, and it's annoying as well, because teams just want to get players registered, don't they? They want to get players registered and want to get underway. If you can't be certain your player's registered, then you're just not going to risk it. But that could weaken your team.
Yeah. So what do you do? Is there any leeway? Is there any loophole around it? Maybe someone in the comments can let us know on that. Dean Cooper says it keeps crashing, is poor and making it impossible. And simply following up by saying Dan Snow is absolutely spot on with that. OG Sanchez, agree with Dan. It's definitely got worse. It will definitely slow teams down to sign or transfer players, says Daniel. Chris White, this is a brilliant comment. Maybe if the FA employs somebody under the age of 65, they could develop an IT system that is straightforward and quick to use. The technology is available. We have the technology, as the phrase goes. Ben Moore, friend of the channel, simply says on here, so many people are using the system at once. The system doesn't know what it's doing. However, the FA aren't doing anything about it to improve the system. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. But I suppose when you are logging on to register a player, you're not thinking about who else is doing it. It should just be, you shouldn't have to worry about that. It should just be, this is reliable. This is a website that works. I'm registering my player. You shouldn't have to think about all of the other things as an outside, should you?
It would be easier just to send an email and then to employ someone to pick up the emails and stick them in a filing cabinet than this convoluted system which no one knows if it works or not.
Or maybe a fax machine. Let's go back to those days. Why not? It can't be any worse than this.
Legal document. Oh, quite.
Very true. let's read out some more of your comments. Ben simply says yes, it is for the whole season or any signings made throughout the season. Daniel Barnard, I got details of a player Friday. They are now signed today. Wow. Okay, so then that then means that Daniel hasn't been able to play that player over the weekend, which is incredibly frustrating. Yeah. We all know they'll find ways to fine us. That's all the FA are good for right now. It's Jesus firing shots already. It is after 9.
Good, so good job that we haven't got David Sheepshanks coming on as a guest later on.
One day, mate. One day. Tony Stone. Tony, thank you so much for joining, my man. Good to see you in the chat. FA and technology don't seem to get on that well. Tickets for the semi-finals of the county cups were meant to be on sale today, but technical issues means they're not. The first one is on this Friday. Very interesting. So it seems that technology is not only having an impact on registration, but for fans now as well. OG Sanj, there is also a delay on when you register a player and then their name shows up on the SIL website. Dan Snell, it also tells you when a player is suspended and you notify the FA what games a player will miss and allows you to pay for disciplinary fines. Wow. So it's quite a big system, man. It really is quite a big system.
You think that if it allows you to pay fines, you'd think the FA would be right on top of it to make sure it works. Like, that's the one thing you'd think they'd be investing big time in. Come on, £7. Let's have it. Or 11, whatever it is this season.
Sorry, I shouldn't have made me laugh as much as it did. But it's so true. It's so true. So we've got Joe Brinkley says, I'm sure it has had the same amount of traffic each pre-season and there's never been a problem. So yeah, why this season now of all season? Maybe the website's just old, maybe the technology's old, I don't know. But it's definitely something they've got to look into. And hopefully, if we put it on this kind of platform and it reaches a certain amount of people, maybe something, I'm not saying that we are, if we put it on here, people are going to listen to us, but maybe if we get the conversation going, it will prompt somebody into action and just go, do you know what? These guys were talking about it the other night. Let's try and sort this out, or let's try and fix it. So, these are the kind of things that we want what we want you guys to bring to our attention, so that we can talk about it on your behalf and get an open discussion about it. It's not a hammering session, as in let's just point fingers and who's to blame. We want someone to come up with a solution and to be able to fix these kind of things, because this is, by all accounts, and the more I'm learning as the evening goes on, it's a very important system that needs to be fixed.
I think this is the perfect platform as well, where people are delivering their thoughts in. If you look at the range of people that we've got in the comments, and I'd say from fans through to referees, I think we'll cover it well, and it covers who's in. We're getting enough opinions for us to be able to gather some stuff through and say, look, we've had a wide range of people that have witnessed the problem. Have you got anything that you've got to say in response? And hopefully we can deliver something more to you that helps progress it for everyone. Because at the end of the day, you moan as much as you like. Everyone just wants this system to work, to make lives easier. This level of football, no one's doing it as their job. This is something that you do on the side, so you don't want it to be any more difficult than it actually is. And it's what sucks the enjoyment out of it and makes people on the committees and everything else think, I can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. We have got somebody weighing in on the conversation, which is Irvin, saying the FA are aware there are technical issues and are working at rectifying the problems. I saw an email saying so last week. So that's good. It's on their agenda. That's, if there is a problem, if there is a problem, like something in like every other problem in life, if there is a problem, as long as somebody is going out of their way to fix it, then I think people are okay with that. It's when people turn a blind eye and just pretend that nothing's going on. That's what infuriates people. So if they are working on it, then great. Absolutely fantastic. That's exactly what we want to hear. But it'll be interesting over the next few weeks to see how that kind of progresses. And we'll try and keep you updated on that as much as we possibly can. Let's read out some more of your comments on here. Daniel Barnard. Also, the problem is if the date of birth is put in wrong, then they have to contact the FA to change the date of birth, and it will take even longer. So basic kind of mistakes can cause issues. Bill K says, found it interesting and funny listening in the shower whilst you guys are talking about changing room situations. Brilliant, Bill. Absolutely love that, mate. That's quality. I agree with the comment that the FA will find anything to fine you. They just enjoy the money. Yeah. Yeah.
Next comment.
Next comment. Let's comment. Move on. Alex has said, as a manager, it could affect your side for a Saturday, especially if it's 2 or 3 players. Yeah, that is very, very true.
That's the big one for me.
100%. Dan Snell, it gets a star rating when it comes to finding you more for being late with original finds. Interesting. See, Dan's a man in the know. He really is the man in the know. His knowledge is absolutely incredible when it comes to non-league things. We've got Alex who says, if we are doing it right, why should we be punished? Which is exactly what I said. Is there any sort of contingency in place for you saying, well, look, I'm trying to register this player. Here's a screenshot of it. Like, if you just take this little snippet, here's a screenshot of me trying to get onto your site. It's not my fault that your site is not working. Why are we going to be punished as a club for something which is completely out of our control?
I think there's so many things, like with just like a screenshot and that. Like that sounds like the easy suggestion, but I bet you they would never let that stand.
Do you reckon it's because maybe the system is an automated thing? And if you actually have to send in screenshots, that's got to be an actual person checking that.
Well, it's almost like that's what digitally running the game, isn't it? It's digitally running the back end of the game. So if you start doing things manually, it's changing the balance of that whole thing. And I guess they're just running on a one system thing. It was probably done in the first place to save money on admin. So they have to employ less people, because I expect that once upon a time there was 5 or 6 people sat in an office that would deal with all your registration forms, get everything put in the filing cabinet, get the referee's report on the Monday.
Yeah.
Add it all up, phone through to the club, say how much they're owed. Now it's just all on one dashboard. It saves them a lot of money, I should imagine.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Will Frost who says, imagine telling a child that they can't play because the system isn't working. It also affects youth as well. Yeah, can you imagine having to break that news to a kid? Turn up on a Saturday waiting for their game to play. Yeah, sorry, mate, you can't play. we haven't been able to register in time. Bye, Timmy. Turn around and go back home.
They'd just be more annoyed that they weren't playing Fortnite for the morning, wouldn't they?
That's a massive generalisation, Adam. I'm not prepared to go down that rabbit hole. We've got Ryan Owens who says, I've asked both the FA and the SIL what the contingency plans for registering players, and no clues. FA are aware of a lot of things, says Dean Cooper, but never get sorted and never get a straight answer, always fobbed off. I do see this as a bit of a reoccurring thing happening a lot. And I think that statement that we were talking about earlier, it's about the changing room. It comes back to that. It's never a black and white. These are the rules. This is what you can and can't do. It does seem to be a bit of a grey area with a lot of things in football. And that could just be me looking at it from a fan's perspective and not somebody involved.
I agree with that, James, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Let's read out a few more of your comments and then we'll move on to the next topic. We've got OG Stanley says, had a situation last season where we had a player registered on Saturday morning directly on the phone by Mary. That's brilliant. That's commitment.
Big up Mary.
After absolute commitment by her. The worst is when you register a player and they have to accept on their email, but if not done in time, it times out with error code and all will have to be done again. I can imagine that is incredibly frustrating. Stewie Pato 1, welcome to the chat, mate. Hope you're doing well. FA fined a club in Norfolk last season for not using sub boards. Didn't even make a sub.
There's a few things, like if you go through the rules, like I know in the furlough none, it is finable for teams to not wear bibs that state keep it down for the kids on it.
Really?
That's a finable thing, yeah, that you can have, because that's the league thing. You have to wear bibs of a set colour with that logo on them. Many clubs don't bother, but if you read the handbook, which I took some time to do last season, that is in there.
I mean, oh God, yeah. Do you remember that podcast? Did we ever release that podcast?
We didn't release it, but yeah, I went through the whole rule book for the SIL and for the
God.
Like, when you look at things like if you don't turn up to an AGM, the fine is stupid.
We sat down and recorded a podcast, didn't we, Adam, where you had gone through the rule book and you just read out bits and pieces to me, and it was just me reacting to the rules of the different things that each league set out. I don't know why we never released that. Actually, that was quite a funny funny for you anyway. I was just getting more and more angry as the podcast was going on, but we should do that again.
Yeah.
Maybe not on a live show, but we'll definitely release that as a separate podcast, maybe at some point. This comment, James and Adam to take over the Suffolk FA. Yes, give me the job. Give me the job. I will sort.
I genuinely don't know if they could pay me enough to actually put up with all the rubbish. I think it's a never-ending task.
I'd be well up for that. 100% well be up for that. I'm going to be like that. Do you know those classic like Simpsons episodes where like people are running for like class president and they overpromise everything? We're gonna have vending machines in every classroom. We're gonna have slash puppies for everyone.
James's motto is overpromise and underachieve.
That would literally be just me at every time. Every club's gonna have a vending machine. We're gonna have sports drinks available for everyone. Oh God, I would actually love that job in all seriousness. That would be absolutely incredible. But I think me and you could do a pretty good job on that. I think
we'd make some changes, I'll tell you that much.
Vinny said, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the FA started emailing all who have put negative comments and asked them to explain their comments. Christ, if they're going to email you about your comments, what do you think they're going to do about me and Adam, who are actually hosting this thing? They will come down on us like a ton of bricks.
We're not affiliated, James. We're fine. It's only if you're affiliated.
Well, true. This is why every time someone goes to me, do you want to get involved in the club? I'll be like, nah, I'm absolutely fine at the moment. I'm quite happy being a non-league butterfly, just going from one place to the other. I'm absolutely fine. I'm just going to continue the way I am because then, as
someone
you said,
needs to do you some fan art of DeeJam, the non-league butterfly, because I think that's the stupidest term I've ever heard.
Well, we were having a chat about this, weren't we? A private chat with James Bloomfield the other day, and he was going on about, you know, where do you see yourself in like 5 years? What do you want to be doing? And I was like, do you know what? I'm quite happy being a non-league butterfly. And you both absolutely lost it, didn't you? You both in the chat like, what the hell does that mean? But yeah, I'm a non-league butterfly. What can I say? I just go from place to place. I'm happy being me. I'm happy doing what I do. People seem to enjoy it. One day I might tie myself down to a club or two, but we'll come
to that for you, James. Not a chance.
No, do you know what? I say this every single season, don't I? And then every single season I go, oh, yeah, it's 2 or 3 years away, 2 or 3 years away. I'm never going to do it.
I've given you 3 chances myself and you said no.
100%, mate, 100%. We've got Dan Sell, don't even start, Adam, in terms of or some of the comments we were talking about earlier on. A change room issue is not down to the FA. If the government changes the rules, we'll all be allowed inside. Yeah, it's a very good point. I suppose the FA can only do what they're being told to do, but you know, they're the ones with the big voice and they need to be the ones that are banging on the door asking for changes. Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing I would say as a counter argument to that. Dan says that Adam would be a good CEO. What do you make to that?
I'd get a big comfy chair, wouldn't I?
Just see you spinning around on it all day long and just not doing anything. That's a classic CEO.
Or I was going to say that's a pretty good description of what I do for my normal job.
Right. Josh Grant has said, I was put on the Suffolk FA Instagram. I don't know if I should be proud or not. You've got to be proud of that, mate.
Share it far and wide, mate.
Oh, dear me. Dan Snell, voice of reason. Yeah, let's move on to the next before we do, big comfy chair and a vending machine. There you go, Suffolk FA, the future of Suffolk FA with DeeJam and Adam. Vending machines for everybody and big comfy chairs. There you go, non-league football sorted right there and then. So let's move on to the final topic that we're going to talk about tonight. And then we're going to get into some results because, Adam, we're already 45 minutes into this show.
Yeah, I've noticed that one. This is looking dangerously long again, isn't it?
Yeah. This is going to go from an hour and a half to an hour and 45 last week to 2 hours this week because we've got so much. Do you want to talk about one more thing or do you want to get into the results? Because
we can save the one more thing till next week.
Sorry?
We can save the extra one till next week. It's fine.
Okay, let's get into the results then, because I know you guys are dying to talk about some of the results. But Adam, before we jump into those, let's give a brief description of the game that we went to. Witten versus Ipswich Wanderers in the FA Cup. It was an insane match. Absolutely incredible result.
Yeah.
Now that you've had some time to kind of process it and think about it and try and calm down from it all, how do you reflect on the game? The overall experience of going to the club, what do you think of it? What happened in the game itself? What were your thoughts?
So I've been to Witten the last couple of seasons anyway, on a few occasions. And like, obviously, other than the track and trace bit, it just felt the same as going to any other football game. It's good to see a nice crowd turn out for the FA Cup game. It was obviously helped by the fact it was a local derby, but it had that atmosphere to it as well. Like, it didn't matter which end there was a goal scored, it was noisy. It was really good. Yeah. Really enjoyed it. Good football was played by both teams. I think, like, the more I've had time to think about it, the more Witten will be slightly disappointed they conceded 3 goals. Yeah. Because one of them was a really daft penalty.
Yeah, the most blatant, obvious penalty you will see the entire season. I don't know what he was thinking of.
And then the other goal was the first one, which I would want to speak about a bit, where they just cut in from the byline and just blasted it into the keeper's hands. And not only did he get past a couple of people quite in a way that maybe they'll be disappointed with, but it hit the keeper's hands, then went into the net. So, like, I think there's 2 goals there that they'll be looking at and thinking, do you know what, we can prevent them, and then that's bigger margins that we can look at going forward, because attacking, Witten are deadly, absolutely deadly.
Yeah,
like, goodness knows how many they were attacking with at times, but even when they went down to 10 men, absolutely lethal.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go through some of the other results that we had from the FA Cup. So this is the first one that we had on Tuesday night. A lot of goals spread around in the FA Cup. So we had Long Melford beating Northampton, so a team on the same level as them, just in a different part of the world. They beat them 3-2, so a good victory for Long Melford. Definitely. Obviously, the game we went to, which was Witten versus Ipswich Wanderers, we had the very disappointing news of Walsham the Willows. Their game at Newmarket had to be postponed. So Newmarket have gone through to the next round because of a positive COVID test, and we hope that everybody connected with the club and the individuals involved are doing well, and it's nothing too serious on that part. But big, disappointing news for those guys, even though going to Newmarket would have been a very tough game, considering how well Newmarket play at home. That's still majorly disappointing for the club to miss out on that tie. And, again, from a Sudbury perspective, also they go through, but again, they missed out massively. And we talked about it quite a bit, didn't we, last week's show, Adam, where it's the whole gate receipts, it's the whole income and the talking points that really can, start off your season in a good light.
Yep.
So we've got Mildenhall beating Hadley away from home 4-3. That looks like an absolute belter of a game, very similar to the one that we attended. Kirkley and Pakefield lost to Kirkenhall United. We had the Step 6 battle, the one I said I was looking forward to. Dis versus Framlingham. Dis getting a 1-0 win at home, and they progress into the next round. We had Thetford beating Wellingborough 2-0, so very good win for Thetford and a good morale going into the season. That's a good win for those guys. Norwich United losing 2-1 to Haverhill Rovers. We talked about Norwich United last week on the show and what their season might look like. Adam, is that a sign of potentially things to come, or do you think that's kind of a one-off?
Need to choose my words carefully on this one. Like, I think losing to Haverhill, like, I didn't expect Haverhill to do that much this season. So either I've underestimated Haverhill entirely, or Norwich have really got something to be worried about. It's where I'd be. But I say that they I think Norwich did all right at the weekend. They played Melford and scored a few goals. Melford are a strong team. They knocked a few past them, but that's Norwich losing to Haverhill is not the Norwich that we knew from last season.
No.
That would not have happened last season.
No,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, things have changed, obviously.
Yeah, I would agree on that part. And then some of the other results as well. We had Brantham, Athletic, and Benfleet drawing 1-1 on the night, but Brantham going through on penalties 3-2. So a good victory in the end for them. Saffron Walder versus Little Oakley. I don't know why I haven't put the result in there. Apologies on that part. Someone will have to let me know in the comment section what the score was on that game.
Little Oakley went out, I think, maybe 1-0.
Did they? Right.
It was 1-0 or 2-1. I can't remember. But I think Walden won anyway.
Incoming Dan Snell comment.
I was going to say Dan Snell just thought that out for us.
Sort us out, Dan. God Manchester versus Ely was a 1-1 result, with Ely winning 4-2 on penalties. Adam, quick thoughts on that one?
Not the way I expected that to go. God, he rebuilt their team well last year towards the end after a really difficult start. But then I've heard lots of rumblings about Ely making some good signings. Like, penalties are not a very good indicator, are they?
No, I'm thinking more than 90 minutes. I'm thinking more the result over 90.
Yeah, I think the draw is probably a good indicator of how even those two will actually be this season. Yeah. With Ely improving slightly, and God, he'll probably, I'd anticipate them coming around 9th or 10th from what I know.
Yeah. And then we had Wroxham and Galston getting 5-0 victories against Ardersley and Swaffham Town. Galston, again, played very well on Saturday from what I have been told, but a very impressive win in the FA Cup for both them and Wroxham. Yeah. Very, very strong contenders and performances from that one. We had Woodbridge and Biggleswade playing out a 2-2 draw, with Biggleswade winning 7-6 on penalties. That's a hell of a penalty shootout. You've got to love that. From a goal scoring perspective, that's what you want to see. And then Stowmarket picking up a narrow victory against Rothwell Corinthians 2-1. Adam, quickly talking points on those particular results before we get your guys' comments up on the screen.
Yeah, Biggleswade didn't miss a single penalty in that 7-6.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Really? Yeah, they fired all of those in. Strong result, really, even for Woodbridge to hold them over the 90. I think Biggleswade scored really late on to pull it back. Biggleswade having recently signed Nacho Novo, and they managed to keep him quiet. Stowe against Rothwell. Stowe were probably quite fortunate. If anyone has got the time to go back on the timeline, someone has posted a penalty that Rothwell got after just 10 minutes.
Right.
It was a conversion by the time that they kicked it. Ridiculous. I haven't seen anything like it. So absolutely skied it. Absolutely hilarious.
So that was on the A14, was it?
Oh no, it's the opposite end. So
okay. So in the house estate.
It's sort of in it's in Lidl car park. But, so absolutely incredible. But really, people are well impressed with Rothwell from who I've spoken to. Very good team, apparently.
I think for me, I'll bring us back on screen here, Adam. So stop what you're doing. Yeah. I think for me, the Galston result is the big standout one. From what I am hearing, I am very impressed with what they're doing at the moment, and I think they're going to be on for. Whether or not they'll be on for an amazing season, I don't know, but I don't think they'll be anywhere near that relegation battle. In terms of what they were like last season, they have really, really impressed me from all accounts. And to pick up a 5-0 win is, as I said, just an absolutely massive, massive confidence booster. Really, really is. Let's get your comments up on the screen. Dan Barnard, I take it you boys will be down for the Witten versus Stowe game. What day is that?
What hasn't been announced. It's to be confirmed.
Right. But yes, I would imagine we will come along to that one. Yeah. Would you be up for that?
Of course I would. Of course I would.
That's a bit of a stupid question, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got some Witten, I've got James from Witten in my ear, one side, then all the boys from Stowe the other side saying, I've got to get you along for it. Like,
right.
Yeah, I've got one foot through the gate there already. It's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah.
There'll be so many like ex-Stowe playing against each other as well. So
yeah. Definitely. Yeah, we will be covering that game. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Ben Moore has said, I thought Witten played better when they went down to 10 men. I have to agree with that, actually, Ben. I think they were far better with 10 men. It's very bizarre in football how that happens, that it suddenly kind of galvanizes the whole team. And but yeah, surely Wanderers should have taken the game to them. It was such an end-to-end game that I don't really think there was any opportunity for one team to really take control of.
Absolutely not.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a midfield dominated game, in my opinion. When Witten went down to 10, they switched Midas, who's been mentioned in the comment as well, to like a box to box role instead of a more advanced midfielder, and he did the job so well. So well. And then I think really there was a lad they were calling Percy. I've forgotten what his name is. I was speaking about him yesterday. Who played for Wanderers, who did a similar job. He was picking up the ball deep in midfield and driving it forward and releasing players. Now, because both teams were having people doing that, it just literally meant play just kept getting turned over. And when it did, it was advancing all the way forward. What you saw on the matchday experience was only a fraction of the action.
Yeah, 100%. There's absolutely no way I could have covered all of that. You'd have been talking, I reckon I could have probably done about 45-minute video of highlights and it still wouldn't have done that game any justice at all. I tried to cram in as much as I could into it, but that game was absolutely mental. In terms of Midas, I was very, very impressed, I have to admit. And when I talked about this with somebody else during the week, it wasn't his stuff on the ball, because I think we all know what he's capable of on the ball. It was off the ball that was very impressive.
Ridiculously intelligent.
He never let his man go. He was always there. He tracked back. He did all the dirty stuff. Not shy of getting into a tackle. Very committed. As I said, very, very impressive stuff, I have to say. And it was an absolute privilege to be able to record that goal. We got a bit of history for the channel, which is amazing. Obviously, a bit of history for Midas in terms of the small family. So, yeah, absolutely incredible. Really, really good moment. I'm glad we were able to capture it there. Dan Snell says Saffron Walden definitely won, unsure on the scoreline, but Alex then quickly follows it up saying it was 4-2 to Saffron Walden. So we were a bit out on the score there. Connor says it was a rugby conversion. That penalty, Adam. Dan Snell says, if you go onto Russell Clayton's Twitter, worst penalty I've seen for a long while.
It was right.
Follows that up saying, worst penalty I've ever seen. Ben says, as a coach myself, I thought Witten played some lovely football and used the wings really well, which we all know they would do. Did Matt Blake play on Saturday? I don't know.
He did.
I don't know. He did.
He's back. Yeah.
He's back. Wow, that's a hell of a recovery.
Back as well. I didn't think he'd be back that quick, but yeah, they've got him back.
No, based on the conversation that we had with him, wasn't expecting that.
No.
Definitely not. So let's move on to then the weekend's results. Now, guys, let us know what game you were at in the comment section. What was it like? Tell us about the actual match as well. What I'm going to try and do is I really apologize. We had your match report sent over to us. I just did not have enough time to be able to get some of those available as screenshots on here, but we will endeavor to do that for the next show. I will have hopefully a bit more time than what I've had this week to get those kind of things prepared. But if you were at a game, let us know about it. Let's start off with the Furlough Nunn Premier results from this weekend. So first thing that you will notice on here, we do have quite a few postponements.
Yeah.
And I think, Adam, moving forward throughout the season, this is going to be a bit of a reoccurring theme, isn't it? Where games are called off because of the current COVID situation. It's not nice to see. We don't want it to happen, but I think the clubs involved have been very responsible to put a stop to it and not try to pull a bit of a fast one. Would you agree?
Yeah, negative result as well on the COVID test between, I think it was a Newmarket player. So good news has followed. Yeah.
So definitely on that one. So the opening results from the weekend in the Prem were Clacton getting a 3-0 victory against Haverhill Rovers. So very good start to the season for Clacton. Obviously, God Manchester Walsham Willow game was postponed. So Walsham having 2 games in the space of a week called off because of that test. Hadley United losing at home to Kirkley and Patefield. Norwich United picking up a 4-3 victory away from home at Long Melford. So a good return from them, for those guys, putting the FA Cup disappointment behind them. Mildenhall Wroxham game was postponed. Stanway versus Ely was a 0-0 draw. Stowe picking up a 1-0 narrow 1-0 win against Galston, which was the game you were at, Adam. We'll talk about that in a second. Swaffham 1, Bramford Athletic 3, Witton 3, Thetford 1, and then the Woodbridge Newmarket game was postponed. First of all, Adam, briefly kind of tell us, what was the Stowe game like? How impressed were you with Galston? Because I've just been talking them up. What were they like?
Good. They are not going to struggle like they did last season.
No.
They are a good side. They dug in well. It was, I hate to say it, but it was one of these performances that was quite typical of a team playing against Stowe. They knew they had to defend pretty resolutely. Ingram, who plays up top for them, I know they've got two of them. I think it's Connor. Is it Connor Ingram? I think it's Connor Ingram. Like they play everything through him in the number 10 role. Right. Everything goes through him. Like, be it free kicks, long balls forward, like playing him in. He just got caught offside on the narrowest of margins in the first half. And he, like from 40 yards out, put in the most delightful lob I have ever seen. It was absolutely lovely. So a bit worrying when I saw that go in, because it just showed the class that he's got. They've got some real good players. Stowe basically won it on a mistake. Anyone in the comments that's a Stowe fan or from the club, I think, will agree with me. Like, it was a defensive error, and Christy Finch got on top of it. Big negative for Stowe. I don't know if the club have announced it yet or not, but I do know, so I will say, like, Christy Finch actually came off injured in the second half. He's fractured a rib and he's going to be out for 8 weeks.
Ouch.
The form he looked in, that's a huge loss.
Yeah.
He was 100%. Very good. So yeah, Galston, they're going to have a good season. Yeah,
Connor has said, very good side. I was very impressed. And Dan Snell says, Connor Ingram is Galston's talisman. I think the standout result for me is the Norwich United one. Not because of the amount of goals that was scored, but again, we talked about it. It's good to see them recovering from the FA Cup disappointment during the week to then bounce back on the weekend away from home. It's a long trek down for them for that particular game, and to get that particular result when you do concede 3 goals when you are away from home, that's very impressive. And we've talked about them as a side to watch in terms of how are they going to perform this season, but that's a very impressive result.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the one that stands out in a way is, like, to be honest, the Clacton result, because I'm expecting them to do well. Like, Haverhill beat Norwich midweek and then have been absolutely battered by Clacton. Yeah, I think they could do bits. Yeah, definitely. We've got Connor Ellis, who simply follows up saying gutted for Finchy, especially with Sweeney out as well. Is Sweeney out as well? Yeah. No way. It shouldn't be anything too bad, I don't think, with Sweeney. He's been out for a few weeks already, so he should be close to return soon. Yeah. But I mean, Stowe at the weekend still, Joe Jefford was out because he'd got his partner had just given birth. Then Bullard was serving the end of his suspension, which has lasted since they played Newmarket 7 months ago. So, big shortage of players, but everyone should be coming back for Tuesday night when Stowe take on Norwich. Huge game. Yeah, definitely. Am I right in saying that Stowe have now got 4 games away from home back to back? I read that on their Twitter feed. I didn't actually know it until I read it. Yeah, that's oh Jesus, that's a massive test for that squad. Let's move into the First Division North. Let's get some of the results up on screen there. So again, guys, keep your comments coming in about the games that you were at. I will get to your SIL games the moment we have got the North divisions done. But if you were at any of the North games, let us know about that particular results. So we had Debenham losing 2-0 to Fakenham. We had Haverhill Borough losing 1-0 to Downham Town. Ipswich Wanderers collecting a 2-1 victory against Mole Barton, which is a great result. And Dan Snell has said in the comments here that Matt Blake came on and scored the winner.
which is very impressive considering the state that we saw him on Tuesday. I was not expecting to read or hear about that. Kings Lynn Town reserves lost 1-0 to Framlingham, so a good 1-0 victory away for Fram. Leiston reserves picking up a 2-1 victory against Dis. Wow, that's a talking point. March Town 2-1 against Great Yarmouth. Norwich CBS losing to Cornard United 2-1. Again, a major talking point. Lakenheath beating Sheringham 2-1 away from home, and the big victory in that division. Needham Market 6-2 win away from home for their reserves against Wisbech St Mary. Adam, standout result from that. There's a lot to pick from. I think the Cornard United one is a big shock.
Yeah, it is. I was expecting Norwich to go quite well this year, so great for Cornard.
Same. I had Norwich up as my winners last week. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, the standout result is probably the obvious one between Wanderers and Mulbarton. The battle of the Wanderers, as it was. That's a team that were top of the league last year, playing against a team that were expected to do very well but fell away, but have strengthened ridiculously, and it's showing already. I think that seeing the reserve sides not taking an absolute whipping from week one and actually dealing it back the other way, Leiston reserves beating Dis, for instance, Needham Market reserves knocking 6 is a really, really good thing.
I'm impressed by that. It just shows the amount of effort and work that is now going into reserve football. It can only be a good thing if those guys are going to be competitive, because the last thing you want is to see them at the bottom of the table getting beat 4 and 5-0 every single week. This just shows how much emphasis people are now putting into the reserve game, and that's great to see.
Yeah, and obviously we know bits from what Leiston are trying to achieve through discussions we've had in the past with Darren, who's there.
Darren Eady, by the way, as a name drop. Boom.
He's actually trusting the youth. He's going for it with the youth in the first team. So those results and the development through the reserves, I think, will be really important.
Yeah, definitely. Dan has said Southern League not started yet. I don't know, if I'm being honest. It's not a league that, if I'm going to hold my hands up, it's not a league I know amazingly well. It's not a league I would... If you're talking about the Southern, I'm guessing you're talking about Furlough None, Dan.
Yeah.
It's not a league I feel particularly confident, and I don't want to come on a show like this, and I think Adam will say as well, I don't really want to be talking about something I don't really know an awful lot about, because I think
we need to get our way into those teams a bit more before we probably start discussing them in depth, to make sure the stuff that we're bringing to you is accurate and engaging enough. I don't want to be talking about teams that I've got no connection or anything with. Yeah,
I think really the big thing for me is that I don't want to be talking about something I don't know anything about. I think there's nothing worse than when you see people hammering on about a subject that they really haven't got any clue or involvement about. So for me, as I said, it's not a league I'm particularly confident about. However, Dan has followed up by simply saying, I meant reserve teams boosted with first team players. That's also a very good point. I didn't actually think about that. That's a very, very valid thing. Maybe a lot of the first team have decided to give their guys a run out, and maybe that's why the reserves have picked up an interest in. Dan's got his fingers on the pulse
with that, maybe
100%.
Interesting to get the team sheets.
It will, and it will be also very interesting in a couple of weeks' time to see how the reserves do once the other leagues have started to get up and running and kick-started again.
Yeah. It's no secret that those reserve teams are generally weaker than the rest of the league.
So we've had Ben Moore say on here, don't Cornard have Marcus Bent playing for them? I don't know. I don't honestly know. He signed
last year. He did sign for them last year.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. James Bloomfield, I see other non-league shows talking about things they know nothing about. Well, that's up to them, mate. That is entirely up to them, but we do not do that on this show. Let's move on into the SIL before we get ourselves back up on the screen and start talking about the fixtures to come this week. So these are the results, and this, honestly, some of these results, Adam, absolutely blew my mind when we were looking at
this. I know
this.
the one I want to talk about.
Okay, well, let's go through the results and we'll bring your comments up on the screen before we jump into it. So Cobblestonians on Friday night lost 3-1 at home against Henley Athletic. A very, very good win for Henley there away from home. Achilles picking up a 1-1 draw at at home against Hawley United. Obviously, we've got the Achilles manager in the chat. If you are available, let us know what happened in your game. Bilston losing 2-0 to Halesworth. Obviously, recently promoted Halesworth into the division, picking up a very good win to kickstart their campaign.
Massive win. Yeah.
Claydon losing 1-0 at home to Trimley Red Devils. Now, I had somebody DM me before the season started who was associated with Trimley and said, we are going to have a very good year this year. And I didn't know whether or not to believe it, but I'm getting on the train. I'm getting on the hype. I 100%. I'm not going to say I'm on board, but I'm running after the train before it departs the station, because that is a hell of a first opening day win. To go away from home and get that result is incredible. Crane Sports doing what they do best. They are picking up
things.
They are just absolutely incredible, aren't they? They really are. A 6-2 win at home on the opening game of the season. That is how you send out a signal to the rest of the league that you mean business and you are not going to give up this title. That is a hell of a win. Absolutely, really impressed with that. Obviously, the game I was at on the weekend, Leiston St Margaret's lost 3-0 to Benall St Mary. Old Newton losing 3-0 at home to recently promoted Ransom Sports. Again,
that shocked me, that one.
And Westerfield, 3-1 winners against Bourne Vale United. Now, before I get your comments, Adam, I just want to put up some of the comments that you guys have been saying, because you have been getting absolutely mad on the comment section. So let's go through your SIL comments. James Handlin, Westerfield versus Bourne Vale was an excellent opening match. The Swans were full of confidence without getting carried away. They will be confident. Good times aren't far away again. I'm just glad to see them back in a competitive way. That's all I want from this season. I don't want to have a repeat of what happened last year. And by the sounds of things, they are off to a very good start. Dean Cooper, I said on here last week that Westerfield will beat Bourne Vale. You did. You did, mate. You really, really did. So good predictions on that part. Bourne Vale have better quality of players, but always knew Potts would get the lads on it. Once again, heart, passion, and belief wins. Great comment. Love that, mate. Stuart Spreadbridge, thanks, mate, for getting involved. Thank you once again for joining us, Stuart. Really appreciate you jumping on. I was at Achilles versus Hawley. Achilles definitely the better side in the first half. Hawley well on top in the second half and got a late equaliser. Was a fair result in the end. Ben Moore simply says, I don't think it will be a one-horse race for the title like last year in the SIL and Furlough none. We will see as the oncoming months go on, but it's definitely going to be more competitive this time around. We've got some other comments on here. Bill K, some unexpected results in the SIL of the weekend. Going to be interesting to see how those sides that won after struggling last season get on in the early exchanges. 100% agree with you on that one, mate. Alex, huge results for Trimley and Westerfield. First all SIL game in 3 seasons on Friday night for Dan. Henley looked decent, was pleasantly surprised by the quality on show. SIL, mate, is a fantastic level of football. It does not get the recognition it deserves. Really, really does not, which is why I cover the SIL for the channel. I love the people, and that's not the reason why I do it. That is a big factor, but the football show is just as good as Furlough none. And you see that in the cup results when the SIL teams are always in the final. You know what I mean? That there is a good level to be had, and it's not just at senior; it's all the way down. And we'll be covering more of that as the season goes on. Sean, thank you very much for getting involved, mate. Really, really appreciate you coming on. Westerfield was an amazing result, really, really was. Mr. Wong, 84, Claydon were robbed. Talk to me about it, mate. What happened? Let me know why you were robbed. I want to know what happened in it. Dean, Achilles manager. We bossed them in the first half and was 1-0 up at the break. Last 30 minutes, they came at us from all angles and we conceded in the last 5 minutes. Echoed the comments earlier. 1-1 was a fair result and I'm buzzing with the start. Good to see you guys back up and running, mate. And I really, really hope you do well this season. So a good 1-1 draw at the beginning of the season. Tony, great result for the Swans. Yes, it really was for Westerfield. Massively impressed by that. Connor, judging by these results, the SIL is going to be very tasty this year. I can't wait to cover it. It is absolutely mental already, and we are week 1. Absolutely mental. Sean Watson, Cranes thoroughly deserve the win, but Burgott will beat plenty of teams for sure. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I don't think there's going to be, as I said, I don't think there's going to be a whipping boy this year, because teams on their day are very capable of beating anybody. Daniel Barnard, sorry, Adam, I will get you back involved to go through your game.
No, but you're fine. I'm still here, mate. Don't worry. I can make a cup of tea in this time.
Daniel Barnard, Trimley Red Devils played very well against Claydon. 100% didn't get the rub of the green. Disallowed goal. Their goal was potentially offside. Officials, I won't comment on, but hey, credit to Trimley, played very well. George says Stanway Rovers to win the furlough none.
G-Man in the comments.
Very interesting comment. Yeah, Ben Moore, Crane sending out a statement. A few dark horses in the league like Trimley and Halesworth. And Daniel Barnard simply says, did anyone see the carpet? Which is the Blue Circle. Credit to the Blue Circle staff. Top pitch. Adam, what are your thoughts? What is your standout result from the weekend whilst I take a sip of water?
Yeah, I'll just pop back to George's comment about Stanway Rovers to win the furlough none. Doesn't really agree with what he was saying on Twitter in the week, mate. So interesting, but he is a very loyal Stanway supporter. So love the passion that you've got for it, George. Like, you're showing people some good belief in your club and everything. I like the fact that you're talking out about what you believe in with them as well. It's proper good. In terms of the SIL, Westerfield getting that win is huge. There's some good results in there, but it's the fact that like so many people poured in on their tweet like afterwards to congratulate them. It shows like the community that's in the SIL.
Yeah,
and shows what it means to everyone. Like, they had a torrid season last year, and they couldn't have done it in a better way than to open up first day of the season, get that win under their belts, and just know, just go for it going forward. Yeah. Bilston losing was the one that surprised me.
I don't know. I don't know if it did, and I'm not saying that because I'm talking bad about Bilston, but I just know how good Halesworth Town are on their day, and they have recruited well. Obviously, a recently promoted side, but I think both them and Ransoms both of them getting away wins. On the opening day of the season. Again, it just proves what I said in my preview video about the season kicking off. They're not just going to come into this division, sit for mid-table and be happy with that, or just about narrowly survive and, yeah, great, we're in the division for another year. They're both coming at it. They are both going for it. There's no reason why they have to sit back and just accept that they're in the league and let's just be happy that we're here. They're both going for it.
I think Newton will be disappointed as well, like in that same vein, like to have lost opening day of the season at home 3-0. They went well last year, and by all accounts, everyone was spoken to, like speaking to Macra, that wanted to pick that back up again. So that's not the start they would have wanted. So it'll be interesting to see moving on to next week how that really sort of gets turned around.
Yeah, definitely. Let's read out a few more of your comments. I'm going to get the graphic off the screen so you can see our beautiful faces once again. Hello, Adam. It's good to see you again. So we've got Sean, who says, also, we hope the Burgos defender, Matty Hayward, has a speedy recovery after fracturing his ankle.
I saw that on Twitter.
As somebody who has gone through an ankle problem myself, a couple of years ago, I tore ligaments in my ankle. I know how painful that side of things can be. So, I can 100% echo that. I really, really hope that goes well. The only saving grace, and I mean it in the nicest possible way, is that something broken in terms of a bone is better than the muscle, because the bone will heal quicker, and that's the only only saving grace I can possibly think of in that scenario, because that's never nice to see. But I really, really hope he gets up and running and we can see him towards the end of the season. But we'll see. We shall see on that one. We've got Alex saying young Connor Morley scoring 2 on his senior debut for Ransoms is a great showing. And also George Abler, who we've done an interview for on the channel, scoring on his debut as well for Henley. Very, very impressive stuff. It's good to see the youth coming through. And I think we'll start to see more of that as the season goes on. More clubs giving youth the opportunity, because that's what they've all been going for during pre-season. They've all been aiming and striving towards bringing their academy players through. So this is a good thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's what I want to see. Like at all levels, I want to see these younger players like coming through and really making a name for themselves in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's where non-league football becomes that launch pad for players to then be picked up by pro teams.
Yeah, definitely. James Bloomfield, Friday night, I was impressed with Henley, signed experience, but George Ablett is one to watch. Yeah, could not agree more, mate. Could not agree more. Dan Snell, Halesworth have big ambitions. Said it. Yeah, absolutely 100% agree with you, mate. They really, really do. Some very interesting results. It's gonna be really fascinating to see how certain teams bounce back, not just from the SAL, but also the furlough none as well. It's going to be really interesting. Really, really will be. Right. We are an hour and 20 minutes in. Let's get into the week's fixtures, and then we are going to wrap things up, because this hour and 20 has absolutely flown by, and I'm very conscious of the fact that some of you want to get to bed before
banger though, hasn't it? It's been so good. Like interaction is just getting stronger and stronger every week. Absolutely loving everyone getting involved. Like
your comments are absolutely amazing. Really, really are.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I haven't shown you this graphic. You're going to like this. So, what I am doing is a 5-game running total of the form.
God, how FM of you.
I know. How FM of me indeed. So, what I'm going to be doing throughout the season, I don't know whether or not people want me to include cup results in this. I'm thinking only league. But we've got the last 5 games that as we go through the season, the form will be on the left-hand side for each team. So Tuesday night's games, we've got Ely versus Thetford, Clacton versus Bramford, Galston versus Walsham. Let's hope Walsham can actually start a game this season. That would be very, very nice to see. Haverhill Rovers versus God Manchester Rovers, Kirkland and Pakefield versus Woodbridge, Newmarket, Mildenhall, Norwich versus Stowmarket, Stanway versus Long Melford, Swaffham, Wroxham, Whitton versus Hadley. Adam, standout game from that one. I'm thinking Clacton, Bramford. Both teams getting a win on the opening day of the season. I want to see how both of them react to playing against each other. A nice fixture early on.
Stanway versus Melford is my one.
How come?
I don't really know how or if Stanway have recruited. They've gone with using the youth.
Right.
And they've got quite a big youth contingent in their team. Melford are a long time difficult to beat team.
Yeah.
I think putting those two up against each other this early in the season will really show the level that both are at. Yeah. And it might sort of really give an idea as to who's going to do what out of those two. Yeah. That's the one I think that in terms of matchups, that's something that I could really see as being a game that really kicks off. I think Ely and Thetford is another interesting one, because previously they're two teams that have finished very close to each other come the end of the season.
Yeah.
Again, playing very early on in the season, that's a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, and both teams obviously didn't get the result in the league that they wanted, but FA Cup wise, they've got a positive result.
Yeah, they did, and I personally, I can't see past Thetford. I can't see them actually doing, unless they've majorly improved. Like seeing them last year, they finished 16th. I couldn't see them becoming a top half team. So they're going to want to start getting results under their belt pretty quickly if they've got intentions of changing that.
Yeah. Just build up some sort of momentum, really. That's all you wanted as big
Exactly.
That's all you want. And then the weekend results from the furlough Prem, because of the fact that the FA Cup games are going on. So we've only got 4 fixtures, which is God Manchester versus Walsham. The Willows, obviously the game that has been postponed because of that testing. Norwich United versus Woodbridge Town, Stanway versus Kirkley and Pakefield, and Swaffham versus Hadley. Let's read out a few of your comments on here. Dan Sales says six players I saw in non-league last season now have pro contracts at the start of this season, which is very impressive. Yeah. Ben Moore, love the show, lads. Don't want it to end. We don't either, mate. But unfortunately, it's a school night and I've got work in the morning, so we'll. But we all have to go to sleep at some point. Witten could get a good result. SIL, some interesting games. Really, really is some interesting games on that one. Let's move into the North. So only 3 games during the week, but we've got Leiston Reserves versus Needham Market Reserves, Sheringham versus Norwich CBS, which both teams are going to want to massively bounce back from the weekend's results, and Downham versus Fakenham, both teams picking up the victory there. Sheringham Norwich is the game for me.
Yeah, they're 3 very big games.
And you wouldn't think it reserve versus reserve, but they're both competing for a reason. Do you know what I mean? So. Yeah. They are very, very big games. And then we move on into Saturday, and we've got Cornard versus Sheringham, Downham versus Debenham, Fakenham versus Leiston Reserves, Framlingham versus March Town, Yarmouth versus Sudbury Reserves, Lakenheath versus Wisby St Mary, Mulbarton versus Haverhill, Needham Reserves versus Kings Lynn Reserves, and Norwich CBS versus Ipswich Wanderers. Some very big games. Fram versus March is one I'm looking forward to seeing, whether or not Framlingham can take things one step further with the victory they got on the opening game of the season. March are obviously a very strong side, so it'll be interesting to see on that one. Adam, stand out from that?
I'd expect Mulbarton will be wanting to turn things around pretty quickly. Haverhill's a tricky test in terms of things going on. Like, I'm a big fan of Yarmouth, so having Sudbury not actually played last weekend, I think that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, definitely. Michael's jumped in on the form side of things and said, I think just keep it to league results, James. If people want that, we will do that. Let us know in the comments whether or not you want the cup fixtures to be included in form or whether or not you want it just purely from a league perspective. That'll be interesting to hear. We're not going to show league tables at this point of the season. I think maybe
Absolutely
5 games in, we'll start showing league tables, but realistically, you have to be off your head to start thinking the league tables matter at this point of the season. Not going to show it. Really, really not going to show it. So let's move on into the senior before we get the FA Cup action on. So the weekend's fixtures are Bournevale versus Claydon. Both teams lost on the weekend will want to bounce back. Capel Plough versus Benall St Mary. East Burgold versus Old Newton, Halesworth versus Achilles, Hawley versus Leighton St Margaret's, and Trimley versus Bilderson, with Cops, Cranes, and Westerfield having no games. Now, can someone in the comments please explain why we have 3 senior teams without a game? I've gone onto their fixture list on the FA website, and I can't see any reason why they are not playing. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe they're playing in a cup competition. I do not know. But can someone please explain to me why the 3 teams involved are not playing? It just seems a very, daft decision to have those.
We've got an answer in the comments, James.
Oh, here we go. Cops play Friday against Cranes. Do they? I did. Why did I not see that? Where was that on the website? I made a massive boo-boo there. I apologise, guys. Yeah, God, you guys Cops playing Cranes Senior Cup on Friday. Wow, there you go. That's why I've missed it. There you go. Guys, thank you for commenting. Thank you for getting involved. Keep those comments coming in. I'm happy to be corrected, Adam. I'm happy to be corrected. Standout game for you?
Well, if I manage to make it to a game this weekend, several things dependent, I will be going to Hawley versus Leighton St Margaret's.
Really?
So that's my one to watch.
Okay. Interesting.
That's going to be my destination.
My standout one is East Burgold versus Old Newton. I want to see how both teams react to big defeats on the weekend. That's going to be a very, very interesting game from that one as well. So let's bring up the FA Cup games because there are a lot in our area. We've got Sudbury versus Harbour Town, so Step 4 versus 5, Cogenhoe versus Berry Town, Deerham versus Witten, Ely versus, I'm going to say Amesbury Reserves. I don't know how you say that, mate. Great Wakem Reserves against Brantham Athletic. Hashtag United versus Felixstowe. Haverhill Rovers versus Wisbeach. Leiston versus Halstead. That's a big matchup. Step 3 versus Step 6. Long Melford against AFC Kempston Rovers. Standout from that page?
It's got to be the hashtag Felixstowe, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's being played like midway through the afternoon on a Sunday as well, because hashtag ground share.
Right.
So they'll get to play in front of a big crowd. Felixstowe signed Tiger Smalls this week. Already banged a free kick top corner for him. He was going to do bits. So a team that I thought had not recruited well have suddenly made one signing and might help spin the fortunes a bit. Be interesting. If hashtag beat him, that'll be a heck of a coup from him.
Yeah, definitely. For me, Deerham versus Witton is a standout from that one. Next page, we've got Mildenhall versus Corby Town, Royston versus Newmarket, Stamford versus Diss. A really tough tie for Diss away from
horrible.
That's a horrible tie. Thetford versus Potton United, Biggleswade versus Histon, Wroxham, Galston, and Yaxley versus Stowmarket. Standout from that one, mate.
Biggleswade Histon will be a game. Biggleswade are decent.
Yeah.
And Histon were challenging at the top of Step 4 last year.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll be a decent game.
Ian has said, do you need a passport for Yaxley?
Couldn't even point to it on a map, Ian, to be honest.
Definitely. Dan Snell says that Deerham versus Witton will be a very good game. Yeah, I agree with that one. Hashtag ground share of Bowers and Pitsey. Can see them beating Felixstowe. Yeah, I
would agree.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they get on. Very interesting. Thetford versus Potton will be a decent game according to Dan. So that is the FA Cup games done and dusted. Apologies, guys. We haven't got the graphics for Div 1, Div 2, and Div 3 available. We will go through the results from those particular games in next week's show. We will have more time to prepare from that perspective. But Adam, I think we will wrap it up there because it's an hour and a half that we are into this show. You said that you were thinking of going to the Hawley game this weekend.
Yeah,
is that right?
if I go to a game this week, it's going to be a SIL game somewhere close. Okay. Hawley probably fits the bill. The only thing I will think about is just if there is another one nearby on a slightly lower league, I may do it because otherwise we're giving Leiston coverage 2 weeks in a row, just trying to keep it fair and split coverage as much as I can. I want to get a look at as many teams as I can. It's really important for me just to see different teams. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to a game now tomorrow night, and I was going to get to Witton just so I can get a chance to get a really early look at Hadley, which is quite important for me. I really want to see what they're about. So anyone that's going to that game and can report in, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And and I know I've been asked in the comments, am I going to Yaxley? And I won't be.
No. There you go. So, for me, I'm gonna be open and honest with you guys. There is not going to be a match day experience this week. It is my brother-in-law who is getting married next Saturday. Unfortunately, I have tried getting out of it, but unfortunately, I am on the guest list. I have made it. I have been invited. Apparently, football does not come first. Although the wife didn't read that in the T's and C's when she signed up to the marriage agreement. The football does come first. My lawyers have been consulted, and they will be in touch with hers, and we will try and hash something out. But it does appear as if I'm off to a wedding this weekend. But there it is. That's just the way life rolls.
You're not getting out of that.
She's going to kill me the moment this finishes. I won't be at a game this weekend, unfortunately, but we will be back next Monday for the live show. What it actually means, if I'm being brutally honest, if I have more time available to be able to do this kind of stuff, the more graphics I can get ready, because the match day coverage takes up a lot of time, and I don't think people realize how much goes in to the editing afterwards. I was up till I think 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, getting all of the match day stuff sorted out. There's a lot that goes into it that people don't see. So with not having a game, I will have more time to prepare for this, and we'll be able to go into a lot more stuff. And but that is what it is. But yeah, so we've got a few more of your comments coming in. Dean Cooper says, "Great again, fellas. Really appreciate it, Dean. Thank you very much for coming on, mate." Dan Hiscock says, "We're at home to Mendlesham Saturday, Adam. So go and check that one out. Claydon Reserves versus Henley Reserves. Interesting tie on there." Vinny just simply says, "Getting married during the season is a no-go." Unfortunately, they just hasn't really entered the equation, Vinny. But as I said, it is what it is. Be a good game, Adam. There you go. There's a suggestion for you. Michael Crowfer simply says, "No show, Adam." But we're going to leave it there, guys. I really, really appreciate every single one of you who has got involved in the chat tonight. The whole
really
show,
appreciate it.
The whole show works because of the comments that you guys put in. So we really, really appreciate your feedback. And there are going to be some things that myself and Adam are not in the loop about, we don't know about, and that is why your feedback and your interaction is so important. We want to learn from you guys, and we want to provide a show that you all enjoy. And the more comments that you guys get in, and the more things you have and you want to talk to us about, the better this show is going to be. So we really, really appreciate your continued interaction in the chats and all of the comments that you put in. Because again, that SIL thing, I'm sat there like an absolute lemon going, why is there no game for 3 teams? And you guys instantly jumped in and told me the reason why. That's exactly why we need you here. It's exactly why we need you here. So really, really appreciate you getting involved in that. And again, I'm just going to do one last plug on this, Adam, because I really, really appreciate what people are doing.
Yeah, 100%.
If you want to help support the channel, there are 2 ways in which you can do it. Patreon is a monthly amount that you can pick and donate towards the channel on a regular basis, or you have the one-off Ko-fi link. Both of those will be available in the description. For a price of a coffee, you can donate towards the running costs of the show. It is not, I'm not saying it because because I'm desperate for your money or anything like that. That's not the case. But doing this show does cost money, and if you want to help towards it, then that would be massively appreciated. If not, and you just simply want to get involved in the comments, that is absolutely fine as well. But both options will be available in the description. But Adam, thank you very much once again, mate, for joining me. Interesting results from the opening weekend. I think it's going to be a very bumpy, up and down, topsy-turvy kind of season. It's going to be mental this year, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've absolutely loved just doing this whole thing. Now we're back up and running, talking about the results, picking out some big ones. We've got the idea in the bag now for the Super 6. That starts next week, and I'm going to get a Google document up. Everyone's going to have access to it, so you can fill it in. And we're going to have our own non-league Super 6 running on the Suffolk non-league show. So another idea brought by you guys. We're going to kick it off, and I'm excited about it. No big prize money. No prize money at all.
No. It's all for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're going to be doing with that, I think we kind of talked about this before we went live. We're going to have, if we can, some sort of ongoing league table to kind of, so the more shows you guys watch, the more predictions you get, the higher up the league table you will be. That's the kind of thing that we're thinking about. Well, we're still ironing out a few details on there, but yes, we will have a Google page available, so you can just simply submit your predictions and away you go. But we will iron out the details on that one a little bit later on. So yeah, a few of your comments before we disappear. Ben Moore, see you next week, lads. Have a good rest of the week. I really will. Yeah, thanks Ben for joining in. Your comments, mate, are massively, massively appreciated. James Bloomfield, James, you'll have to do a Tuesday night then. Again, I think this weekend, maybe next week we'll get back up and running, but this week is just an absolute no-go, shake of the head, I'm afraid. I'm really too afraid. James and Adam, they think it's all over. It is now. Good night, boys. Keep going again. Top show in Suffolk. No one can touch this. Thank you, Dan. That's really, really nice to hear. Really, really nice to hear. SIL looks familiar with Cranes at the Top. Yes, it does. but it doesn't have to be that way. And it won't.
We're not looking at who's top yet.
No.
Give us 5 weeks and we'll do that.
Yeah, 5 games in, then we'll start looking at that sort of stuff. Alex Eggleton, class as always, gents. Alex, thank you so much as always, mate, for joining in. Really, really appreciate you getting involved as always. Dan Hiscock, great show again, gents. See you next week. Michael Crowfoot, excellent Super 6 idea. Yes, the Suffolk Super 6. There you go. Trademark.
Love it. Absolutely
Trademark.
love it.
And then the final comment, Alex Eggleton, loser has to sing on the last show of the season.
Get your song ready then, Alex.
Sorry?
Get your song ready, Alex.
Let's finish on that. Adam, what will your song be when you lose?
I cannot sing for, I don't know, like...
Yeah, but that wasn't the question. The question is...
The only thing I ever fancied myself at was Golden Touch by Razorlight.
Okay.
I wouldn't sing that, though.
Okay.
I think I'd be away the week that the singing had to occur. We would lose subscribers so fast.
I think mine would have to be Ronan Keating, Life is a Roller Coaster.
Yeah, I'd unsubscribe for that.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be absolutely loving it, mate. You would be absolutely loving it. If anything, I'll be on 2,000 subscribers before we know it if I start bringing those bad boys out. But anyway, thank you once again, lads and ladies, for joining us tonight on the show. Really appreciate you coming on board. If you have watched it from a YouTube perspective, make sure you hit the thumbs up, because the more interaction that gets, the bigger the video will be shared around. If you're watching this from a Twitter perspective, retweet the video so that more people can watch this on playback. And from Facebook, thank you very much again. Hit the like button, all that kind of stuff like that. We really, really appreciate you. Everything that you do, guys, is massively, massively appreciated. And we'll leave it on Daniel's comment. This is the last comment, I promise. Sweet Caroline Adam. There you go. There's your song for when you lose. There's your song. But until next time, guys, as always on the channel, thank you very much for watching. Adios.